is Jasmine Jones, and I am a licensed clinical social worker. And you are now watching Black Girl, a Therapist in the Wild. And this is a little show I like to call Therapist Sips and Reviews. And today we are reviewing The Piano Lesson on Netflix, and we are sipping on Kahlua, strawberry Baileys, and some eggnog alcohol. I think it's Screwball or something. I don't know. How y'all doing? So I was gonna do the fire inside, but then I was just like, I'm an actual therapist, and I can't do like real people, cause that especially real people that are like alive in the world and shit, because you can't be sitting up here like diagnosing real people. That's not ethical. The one and only time I did it was the Billie Holiday movie that came on Hulu that one time. And, I tried to stay, unbiased and just observe behaviors and stuff. But, like, this person is alive. And I've been following her since since the documentary came out in 2015 of her journey to the Olympics and shit. And I just been rooting for this child since forever. And I just don't feel right, reviewing her life and as an actual therapist and making, assumptions and alluding to potential this and potential that about a real person. Now, these fake people in the movies, these are fake characters that these actors are making up. So you can do that. Like, we did that in grad school and shit. So when we were trying to like come up with like treatment plans and shit and learn how to diagnose people, we would watch a fictional movie, and try to diagnose the character because they're not real people, so you're not like causing any unethical harm to anybody. So I said, fuck it, I'll just do a movie. And so I picked up Piano Lesson. I had no idea this was like a horror, ancestral fantasy movie. I literally thought it was some slavery shit. And I didn't want to watch it, but then I kept seeing like little memes about it, and I was just like, let me watch this. And this movie is good as fuck. And it's like a horror movie, and it's like based off, what's his name that wrote the play? August Wilson's Pulitzer Prize winning masterpiece. So he's wrote a few plays. I think Black Bottom Blues and stuff like that. That Viola Davis and Chadwick Boseman was in and stuff like that. So we're gonna just hop into it. So this movie is about this family that they have this so we start off with the piano in the beginning of the movie. We start off in the past, and there's this piano, right? And this black family who started off as slaves, in the movie, they basically have this piano where all their ancestors are carved into the piano, right? And it belongs to their former slave master. And so in the beginning of the movie, the dad of the two main characters in the movie, and his brother and his friend are stealing the piano from the former slave master's house because it has their family history on it, their family tree on it, and they want to like keep it in their family like it's theirs. Like, no. So they're stealing it, and then we jump to like the son, and the son is played by John David Washington. And actually, like, so John David Washington is the son, and he's Boy Willie. And his brother, Malcolm Washington, is the director. And then his sister also makes a short cameo in the movie as their mother. And so it's like a family affair, y'all. It's all of it. And so he's going to his sister's house in the north with a truck full of watermelons, and the truck stops. I have to comment on this because the truck stops on the road on the way there, and they have to, put it in neutral and push it, and then try to push to start and shit. And like this nigga by himself is pushing this giant ass flatbed truck with a full of watermelons and shit. And it's like a commentary too on like how the stereotype of black folks and watermelons became like a thing, because basically after slavery they wasn't trying to let black people make money like that, and so they started just booming, making money selling watermelons. And so in order to like make black people look bad, they turned it into a stereotype and made us look crazy, so that now we have this like, watermelon. No one wants to. Girl, I'll eat some chicken and watermelon any fucking day. The Asian people love chicken too. Everybody love fried chicken. I don't understand what the problem is. Like, you're not about to put your white people stereotypes on me and tell me I can't do what the fuck I want to do. We gotta uncover, take off the blanket of white supremacy and live our lives. So, So this nigga is pushing this big ass flatbed truck full of watermelons, while this other nigga is trying to turn it on. And the other nigga is fine. His name is Lyman, and that's the friend that's going with him. He got like a little delay and a speech impediment, but that's okay. We can work with that, baby. He's got enough sense to make sense. And I had to look this nigga up, found out he got like a white girlfriend in real life. He's my age. He's like 37. He was born in 1987. And like, the year of the rabbit. But in real life he got a white girlfriend. But we're just going to stick. That's none of my business. We're going to stick to the character he plays in this movie. And it was so magical. It was fun. And he's just a sweetie pie. He's just a sweetie pie. And then his friend is a piece of shit. Like, Boy Willie is just a piece of shit. And, like, I've been off of, like, it's not that I'm off of John David Washington. It's just ever since he did that movie with Zendaya where he was doing them long-ass manipulative word salad monologues and shit, he does the same thing in this shit. So he gets to his sister's house and he's plotting to sell their family heirloom piano and shit so that he can buy the land that their former slave master is selling, and so that he can have land. And there's nothing wrong with having land and creating legacy through, owning property and all this other shit. But it's like, that's your family heirloom and you just sitting up here. And I understand, because the night that, his dad stole the piano. So what happened was his dad stole the piano with his brother and his friend. The brother and the friend left in a buggy and a wagon with the piano going one way. The dad said, well, let me go back to the cabin and light a lantern so it looks like everything's normal, so to throw them off the scent. So he lights the lantern, and then when they start popping up at his house, he blows the lantern out, and then he runs into the woods and runs to a train. And that's the night his dad dies, because he didn't know that they were going to go and search the train, and then they set the train on fire and shit. So the nigga's traumatized. I get it, but now you're handling your trauma in like a manipulative, fucked up way. So I don't have as much sympathy as I should have, because he goes on these long ass fucking monologues that are very manipulative and very annoying. And it's just like you just sitting there like, what, trying to convince everybody around him why they should sell the piano. And so he gets to his sister's house and he's trying to, like, whatchamacallit, Samuel L. Jackson plays the uncle. So he's the uncle that is the brother to the dad, right? And so the sister's living with him and her daughter that's living at the house too. And so he tells the uncle that he wants to sell the piano. And he's like, Bernice, that's the sister, she's not going to sell that piano, honey. And he's just so sure that she will, though. He's just like, once I tell her that it's for land that I'm buying, and, once I tell her that I'm trying to buy some land and how dad was all into land and blah, 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 blah. And I was just like, she's not going to sell. That's a family heirloom, bitch. And so, like, he's trying to convince everybody in the house. He gets there at 5 o'clock. This is how you know he's an asshole. He gets there at 5 o'clock in the morning, loud as fuck, waking everybody in the house up, woke his uncle up. Okay, you knocking on the door like you the fucking police, waking his uncle up. Uncle comes to the door. Okay, you get in the house, but then you're being loud and you trying to wake your sister up, trying to wake everybody up, like everybody's supposed to be so excited to see you, and and it's just so fucking annoying. And so, like, sister comes down. She's like, nigga, why are you being loud? My child is upstairs asleep. So sister has like a little child and stuff. She's like a single mom. She's like a widow and shit. And he's like, I'm here to see you. And da, da, da. So he doesn't tell her at first that he wants to sell the piano. He's telling everybody else in the house that he wants to sell the piano except for her in the very beginning. So she gets up, gets ready, gets her kid ready. And apparently the local, like, this nigga named Avery, he's like trying to be a pastor and stuff. So he tried to get her to sell the piano and loan him the money so that he could open his own church. And she was like, no, nigga, what the fuck is you talking about? I was like, why would you, that's stupid. And so, like he's trying to figure out, because there was a man that was coming around asking about like black folks music instruments that he wanted to buy. So he's trying to figure out that man's name, and the uncle told him about that situation with Avery trying to like sell the piano to the man. And so he's trying to figure out the man's name, and he can't figure it out. So the uncle's like, ask Avery about it, because the uncle's just kind of like wishy-washy. He's trying to in the middle of it. A part of him wants to sell the piano because apparently there's like this ghost that's attached to the piano. So back in the South, the former slave master, somebody pushed him into a well, and he died. No one knows who did it. And then somebody is pushing the other white niggas that burnt the train down into the well. So now there's this legend of the ghost of the yellow dog train that's killing niggas because they killed them. And so I love how, though, like, we're accepting ghosts. We're just accepting that there's ghosts because black people are superstitious and it's magical, and I love it. We're accepting magic in the very beginning, and it's just like, and the brother don't want to believe it. The sister low-key thinks the brother killed Sutter, the slave master, and it's on the fence if he did, because the other folks that burnt the train down died when he was a kid, right? But Sutter died 3 years ago, so the sister low-key think the brother did it. And low-key, like, but based off the end and how the ghost was, like, getting at this nigga, I low-key feel like maybe he might have did it. And, you know, it is what it is. That white man deserved what he got. But, like, he's still a manipulative asshole. Like, he got the narcissistic tendencies galore, and it's just some bullshit, and I don't like it. And so the sister comes downstairs. She's like, okay, whatever. She gets her kid ready to go to, out on the town. And then here comes the pastor wannabe showing up to be like, hey, what y'all doing? So he asked the pastor wannabe, like, oh, what's the name of such and such that sold the piano, that you was trying to sell the piano to? He said that was a long time ago. He don't know. He gave your sister a card. She threw it away. And so he just like, oh, shit. And it's like, okay, nigga, like, you not about to get her to sell this piano. So, like, their plan is that he's gonna sell the watermelons. That's gonna be part of the money to buy, because he has a part of the land, right? He already has a piece of this land, but Sutter is trying to sell the whole thing. So his goal is to buy the whole thing. So he wants to sell this truck full of watermelons to get the money, and then he also wants to sell the piano to get the rest of the money, so he can buy all the land and have it for himself and have this whole little plantation situation in his name and whatever, which is a vibe. But why are you trying to sell your family heirloom? That ain't right, nigga. You just gotta accept that you just gonna have that little piece of land, or buy a little bit more with the money from the watermelons and call it a day. No, nigga. And so she's telling him to leave. Like, she's like, no, you need to get up out my house. You need to get up out my house. Like, you don't need to be here. So at some point he does tell her that he wants to sell the piano, right? And the piano has these carvings like of their family tree on it, like when their grandparents jumped the broom, a picture of their dad as a child, a picture of their grandmother. It has a bunch of, like, it's an amazing piece of art, and I hope that in this dimension of this story they kept that piano in the family forever, because that's what you're supposed to do. And so, like, she's like, I knew you were here for some bullshit, and you ain't selling my piano, and da-da-da-da-da. And then she leaves for the day, because she's not fucking with this nigga and what he's talking about. She's like, you sell your watermelons and you get the fuck up out of here. And so he leaves with Lyman, fine ass, for the day. Such a beautiful man. And no, nigga, this nigga's 6'3". His arms are immaculate, like the big old. And I said said before, like, I don't mind, like, just be my height, right? But be a thick nigga. Be like thick, like the fatty muscle where you got the big arms and like the big legs. And like you maybe got a little tummy and shit, but like not too big of a tummy. But like this is like on another. This nigga is humongous, and I didn't even mind his little speech impediment. I was like, look at his cute little accent. And they just so mean to him. Like Willie Boy out here, so they driving through the city to sell the watermelons. And this nigga's car, like, the brakes don't work all of a sudden. And this nigga, Willie Boy, gonna jump out the car and leave Lyman in the car. And Lyman just, like, he's just trying to pump the brakes and get the car to stop. He eventually gets the brakes to work, but it's like, so you was just gonna let your friend be in that car to crash and shit? Like, you're just gonna leave him in there? Like, you just left him in there. You wasn't trying to help him, like, stop the car or do nothing. You just ran off. And I know what a narcissistic nigga would say, like, oh, he could have jumped out too. And this nigga got a little bit of a delay, and common sense is not his best suit. Why are you treating him like this? Why are you being trashed? So they go and they sell the watermelons, right? And they make a good amount of money off these watermelons. And they get back, and so there is this the family friend. I think his name is Whining Boy or something. They got these interesting names. I'm sure that's probably how they was naming people in the South, whatever. Whining Boy, and he goes around playing music and singing and shit, but he decided to like stop or whatever, I guess. And so Samuel Jackson meets up with him at a bar and sees him and brings him back to the house. And like I had to look this shit up because they had this whole singing moment where they were singing this, like, I thought it was a Negro spiritual. It's actually like an evolution of a Negro spiritual. It's called a work song. And so at some point, Samuel L. Jackson, and I guess Willie Boy too, because he mentions being at this place too, was on a work farm where basically it was a prison farm where they was working the land, like the evolution of slavery that we see today, how they got these prisoners working for free, slavery, right? And they would sing these work songs to keep their spirits up. And so they're sitting around the table, they're drinking whiskey, and they start singing this song. Everybody's harmonizing really well. And I was just like, why did he look so sad? Like, he just said he saw niggas that knew him in whatever the name of the place was. Like, I thought it was on a street name, girl. I was just like, like maybe it's a street name or some shit. Like, why is this nigga, like, why is Willie Boy dropping a tear and shit? What's going on? And so come to find out, when I looked it up, actually, it was a prison. So at some point, Samuel Jackson was in that prison and people still knew his name. And Willie Boy mentions it like, oh yeah, like I mentioned your name when I was there and they knew who you were, and so they treated me better and stuff like that. And I was just like, so you was in that little prison situation, he was in that little I guess all of them took their turns in that little prison because racism and white supremacy, and also they was kind of sort of doing fuck shit. And so like they singing this song and they harmonize, and I'm just like, this is emotional. Like, they got traumas and shit, and like, what's going on? So that's what made me look it up. And so like, that was like, I think that was the first night when she came back home from the day, and then he told her he wanted to sell the piano, right? And so like, he tells her he wants to sell the piano. So this was before the brakes stopped and they sold the watermelon. So he tells her he wants to sell the piano, right? And then they just start arguing back and forth. The lights start flickering and shit. And she's upset because she's tired of all these men being traumatized and then turning to aggression and violence to deal with their fucking issues. That's the gist of what I got from that argument. It's like, y'all niggas go out here. I'm tired of the violence. I'm tired of y'all always being aggressive. I'm tired of all this people dying and all this other stupid shit, stealing from people. And my mama what about my mama who sat up here and cleaned this piano every fucking day and had me play it on this piano because she missed our dad so fucking much? What about her and her feelings? Like, y'all don't care about the women of this family. And the Samuel Jackson's character, he's all like, oh, just calm down, girl. I'm like, don't tell her to calm down. She preaching, nigga. Like, no, she is, because we're not considering like the feelings of the women in this family. We're just like, oh, I want to sell the piano. Oh, dad cared more about the land, and he wouldn't have cared if I sold this piano. And it's like, but your ancestors care. Your sister cares. Your ancestors are in the piano. Like literally the piano's like an altar, and their ancestors live in the piano. And she stopped playing the piano after her mom died because, you know, it was traumatizing to watch her mom be sick and sad every day and want her and clean the piano till her fingers bled and have her play the piano and just live in that grief almost damn near forever. And so, like, you know, but she still didn't want to part with the piano because that was just like a representation. And then for Willie Boy, the piano was a representation of what killed his dad. And so for him, he didn't give a shit about the piano. He's like, sell this shit. It just reminds me of my dad dying. But he couldn't articulate that. He just was like, my dad cared more about the land than his piano. We'll be fine. And I'll be able to do more shit and blah, blah. And it's like, no, honey, some things are priceless. And you need to understand that because you about to sell some shit. And during all this time, they're also seeing the ghost of Sutter. He's trolling around the house. Like Samuel Jackson's character seeing the ghost of Sutter. And then Bernice, that's the sister's name. She saw the ghost of Sutter. And then when they was arguing back and forth, when Willie Boy and Bernice were arguing back and forth, or Boy Willie, whatever his name is, were arguing back and forth, the little girl upstairs see the ghost of Sutter. And so everybody's scared that this ghost is just haunting the house and stuff. And they don't know what to do, right? And so they end the conversation for the night because little girl saw the ghost. And now little girl don't even want to sleep upstairs. And Bernice ain't fooling with that. She need her to sleep upstairs. So she's trying to figure out what to do, right? So next day they sell the watermelons. And then like they sit in the kitchen counting the money. Like Lyman is, you know, sitting there with Boy Willie counting the money from the watermelons, right? And here come Whiny Boy or whatever his name is. And he gonna play, like, he gonna fuck with Lyman and trick him into spending most of his money on a suit that doesn't fit, shoes that don't fit, because Lyman wants to go out and get some girls that night. And Lyman is, you know, he got a delay to where, like, common sense and being up on the uptake is not his forte. And so it's easy to get one over on because he's a sweetheart. He's just a sweetheart. He's just nice and kind and genteel and big and strong and yes, God. And so like they jack his and then he goes to put the suit on, and then Boy Willie is sitting there the whole time like smirking with his fucking narcissistic smirk ass at Whiny Boy because he know Whiny Boy knows what he's doing and tricking Lyman. And I'm just like, these evil bitch. See, he needs a good woman in his life to protect him from evil niggas like this. Cause let that be my nigga. I would have been like, put that money back on the table. You don't need that. So you see how your wrists are sticking out, honey? You see how the jacket's tight on you? One wrong move, it's gonna rip, sweetheart. Like it's not gonna. You need to put that money back on the. They fucking with you. They fucking. The shoes don't fit your feet. You don't need this. You don't need. See, he just needed a good woman in his life to just steer him a little bit, cause you know niggas are trash. And they just messing with this poor man who just got a little bit of a delay. He's just a little delayed, just a little bit. And, you know, it's just so mean. And he's so beautiful. And it's horrible. And so, like, they go to the little juke joint that night, and then Boy Willie fucking with him even more. Lyman liked this girl, and he looking across the room at this girl, and he making eyes with this girl in a red dress. And here come Boy Willie swooping this bitch up, and I was like, you trifling, you saw this nigga looking at her. And so he ends up sitting at this table with this woman that's basically making him spend all his money on her for drinks and shit, and it's basically the girl from P Valley and shit. And like he's spending all his money on drinks for her, so she taking advantage of his kindness. See, he just got people taking advantage of his kindness and shit. And he's just a kind individual, and he doesn't know how to say no to things, and he just needs a good woman in his life to help him. On the other side of town, here come the wannabe pastor coming over to the house at night, right when the bitch is getting in the bathtub. During that argument that she was having with Boy Willie, she basically read him for filth because he and Lyman were like picking up wood, and that was their little job for like one of the farms or one of the plantations or whatever. And like basically like they was skimming wood off the top and hiding it in the woods and was gonna go back and get it, and someone found out about it, so they was gonna go back and get it early. And she was just like, you was stealing wood, you was stealing wood. And he was like, I didn't steal the wood. And then he proceeded to tell her how he stole the wood, by skimming some off the top and hiding it in the woods and then going back later to get it. Right. Yeah, that's stealing, honey. I mean, yes, you stealing from these white people, but at least admit it to the people that you care about. And so when they decided to go get the wood that they hid in the woods, they came to her house and got her husband to help. And she didn't want him to go, but he went. And I guess some white folks found out about the wood and they tried to come and get them. And according to him, and I believe Lyman, because Lyman doesn't feel like a liar. He feels like a sweet, gentle heart that just is being taken advantage of by this degenerate. And I don't care. He is. So I believed it when Lyman said it. So apparently her husband had brought a gun and nobody else had brought a gun. They basically were just like, if we get caught, we just gonna get the wood up and go. But her husband brought a gun and started shooting when the people came. And so then he ended up getting shot and killed. And so she's been upset with Boy Willie ever since then. And so skip to the club night. She's at home. She's saying her prayers with her daughter. The ghost is still ghosting and shit. She having nightmares. And so she wakes up and she decides to go take a bath. So she fills up this metal tub with some hot water and some cold water and shit from the stove and stuff. You know, this old school and shit. And then she gets in the tub and starts like, fantasizing about her deceased husband and stuff. And then here come this wannabe pastor nigga coming to her door in the middle of the fucking night. And she's just like, what are you doing here? And so he just starts off with, I want to start a church and I can't start a church without a wife. And I'm just like, this is how we're starting off. This is how we're starting this conversation. This is not, oh, you're so pretty and I care about you and I'm worried about you because, you be going through stuff and I just want to like, let's sit here and just interact with each other. Not gentle, like you need to, who's gonna love you? And she's just like, why do you think I need a man to be fulfilled? Why can't I just be with myself for a while? You're gonna be lonely and she's just like, what the fuck? And so like he leaves and he leaves. And then like she's just like, whatever, nigga, fuck you. And so insert Lyman. This is my favorite scene of the movie. I think I rewound this about 10 times. I don't care. I don't Jesus. So Lyman is just like whatever. He's like the suit. Cause not Boy Willie. Whining Boy told him the suit was magic and he was gonna get bitches in the suit, and he didn't end up getting no bitches, so he ended up going back to the house. And so she just talking to him basically in the kitchen or in the living room while she's setting up the couch for him to sleep on, because Boy Willie's not coming back. Boy Willie had him sleeping on the floor while he slept on the couch. Trifling ass friend, but Lyman is just a sensitive, gentle heart who, is just allowing these things because he wants to be supportive of his friend or whatever the fuck, because he just needs someone in his life to nudge him here and there. That's all. He just needs someone to like tell him to stand the fuck up and be a man and shit. That's all he needs. And if you tell him once, he probably listen. But anyway, so Lyman is there, and ever since he got to the house, when he first saw Beatrice, his eyes was just, or Bernice, his eyes was just lighting up. He was just like, oh, she's so pretty. You can see it in his face. He thought she was the most beautifulness in all the beautifulnesses. And so she's just talking to him while she's setting up the living room for him to sleep on the couch. And she's like, you shouldn't even be at the club anyways. Like, them women don't even know what they want. And he was just like, well, most of them are just lonely. And I was like, yes. look at him knowing shit. And he was just like, and I used to just fall for anything because, like whatever they was handing out, I was taking. But now I don't do that no more because, basically, like, I just want, if I like you and you like, I just want to talk to you and get to know you. If you like me and I like you, then like, let's do something. And she just like listening, like, oh, it's so simple, like it's that simple for him, like it's not these games and weird shit and trying to force bitches to do shit. Wow, I know, girl, it could all be. So I always be saying you just need a little dash of neurodivergency in a nigga, and a decent nigga. And once they find you and they like you and you like them, you have filled that slot of partner. They don't even consider like anybody else, like, because you're their fixation person. And they don't even want nobody else. That you're their fix. So it's like when you got a little bit of neurodiverse, a little bit of it's magical when it's in a nigga that's decent. So like she just like, oh, okay. And so like she fixing the couch and then she's standing there just looking at him, he looking at her, and girl, I love the cinematography, the color grading, the angles of the camera, all of it is immaculate in this motherfucker. This nigga did a good job with his directing, and the camera people did a great job. The editors, they all magnificent, because when his eyes looked at her and went up and down her body, and I was, yes. And then he goes, I like your nightgown. I like women in fancy nightgowns and stuff. It makes your skin look pretty. Oh, she's like, and she was like, I just got this from 99-cent store, girl. Like, she was 5-cent, 10-cent store or some shit. She said, I don't know, their version of the 99-cent store. I was just like, really, it does. That my skin is so pretty. And then he gets up with his big ass, and then you see that reflection in the mirror, and it's like all soft focus because it's an old ass mirror, but it works. It works for her skin tone. It works for his skin tone. It's magnificent, girl. And then he's like giving her this little perfume bottle, and he was like, oh, I bought this and they said it belonged to a French queen or some stupid shit that they lied to him about. And she was like, oh, that's nice. And he was like, here, smell it. And then she smells it and she's like, oh, it smells nice. And he was like, you can have it. And she was like, I don't need it. And he was like, here, let me put it. And then when he took his big ass hand and gently tapped that shit on her neck, and he was like, you smell good. And he got closer, and her eyes fluttered, and excuse me, and then like he was, girl, this is the best part of the movie. I took a picture of this shit and saved it in my little dream vision board in my notes and shit in my notes app. He said, you smell good for Lyman. I was, sir, no, because like, let a nigga that I'm attracted to, let's no, it can't just be any nigga, because then it's weird. May the odds be ever in your favor, because you may not know that you not the nigga that I want to tell me that. I'll be polite though, as long as you leave it at that and don't touch me. Well, thank you. You're so nice. But let a nigga I'm attracted to say some shit like that. Yo, you notice? No, because that's like my fixation thing. My skincare, my perfumery, my hair care, you notice that my skin is pretty and soft, and you notice that I smell, oh my god, no, because don't nobody be noticing and saying nothing, and so I just be like, am I the only one that noticed? And like, let a nigga, girl, you smell good for Lyman. And it's just, something inside of me melted into the earth and didn't come back. It's still not back. I'm still fixated on that one statement and the scene and the way he was crooked into her neck, and then he kissed her neck or smelled it or something, and then they kissed, and then she pulled away because she ain't ready yet, but like she thinking about it though now because he's beautiful. and he's gentle and he's sweet and he's kind and he doesn't try to force her or use or try to make her into some weird ass object as a church wife and shit. Like she's just like, what the fuck are you talking about, nigga? And so like she's walking away and this nigga grabs her hand real quick and puts the perfume bottle in her hand and then lets it go. And I was just like, no, this is the plot. This is the plot. Lyman's the plot. Where's the I thought he was about to blow her fucking back out, bitch. Like I thought they was about to fuck on the floor on the couch. He's a big nigga. He's not gonna fit on that couch anyways. But it's the thought that counts. Like you should let your friends sleep on the couch. Some you bitch maybe. But no, that's all we got. That's all in the movie. I even went to see if there were after. I was fixated on that, and I looked to see if there were after credits of anything where they ended up married, even if they just ended up married, like, or even like a classy love scene where they kiss on the mouth and then like you see somebody's naked back and then it fades to black. Like I would have taken that and ran with it, bitch. No, that was it. But it was so romantica. It was so romantica. It was chef's kiss, magical. You smell good for Lyman. Yes, I do, Daddy. I do. You know, it's a wonderful character. This man is a great actor, and he made me believe in his affection for this bitch. And, I'm just going to pocket that away into my little fantasy place with my little fantasy pretend boyfriend. And we're going to have fun with that. We're going to have fun with that. Yes, we will. I don't care. It's the best we're going to do at this point. Niggas is out here 70,000 strong on a chat room talking about how they raping their wives and their mothers and their sisters and their children and daughters and shit, like, or how they want to rape them. I don't know what to say. Like, 70,000 strong. So that's a small percentage of the billions. And so, like, this probably the best we gonna do at this point. Like, niggas ain't like this in real life. Shit. That's my preference. Black men that like black women. Like, this nigga got a white woman in real life. That's what I mean. Niggas ain't like this. Black men aren't like this to black women in a majority situation in real life. On top of the 70,000 strong has just depleted a good portion of my hope for the week. I'm just like, God, is this a message? Is this why you haven't been answering that prayer that I pray damn near every day for a husband? Because there's nuance to sending me a husband at this point, because 70,000 strong are just happily drugging and raping their mothers. Why are you raping your mothers and sisters and wives and daughters and shit? What is wrong with you? Why do you want to do that? Why don't you want to seek help and work on that? What is going on? Did something happen to you? What? So, this is probably the best. My fantasy land in my head is probably the best I'm going to get at this point, and I'm just going to just roll with it. It's a nice place in there. It is. It's magical. Everything I want, I get. And then I get to give everything I want because I'm a people pleaser when I'm in love. And I get to do nice things. And my fantasy boyfriend doesn't make me feel like a gold digger or make me feel weird because I'm doing nice things for him, or I want him to do nice things for me. And we can just do nice things for each other and live in this nice little place where we do nice things for each other and have amazing, wonderful, magical sex all the time. And he cooks and cleans, and I, give him sexual favors for that. Because I don't like to do those things. But I will study the whole Kama Sutra to make you feel good about it. I will learn things that you've never heard of before to show my appreciation for the magical things that you do in the kitchen. So, this is the best we're going to get. This is 70,000 strong, all because you don't want to go to therapy. all because you don't want to go get help for the problems that you have in your head. You dropping you're fumbling the ball with women that are like, they're like fucking angel women. They're amazing, magical women. And like these niggas are just fumbling the bag, fumbling the bag. How do you get an angel and not see that you have an angel? Let me get an angel. Always said, like, God sends me an angel. God sends me my man. I'm going back to therapy because I know that I'm not going to believe it and I'm going to do something to self-sabotage it. So I'm going to prevent that, I'm going to go back to therapy so that I don't fuck that shit up. But these niggas get angels and they just immediately self-sabotage. Or they just like enjoy it for like a few months and then I guess they let the intrusive thoughts win. Oh, I don't deserve this. I don't deserve to have this good person in my life. I don't deserve. I'm a piece of shit. Oh, she doesn't really love me. And they do some fuck shit because of their intrusive thoughts. And I don't have it. I don't have it. You letting these intrusive thoughts and these women aren't even trying to like harm you in any way. They're actually showing up for you in magnificent, magical ways, and you can't handle it. You can't handle goodness and shit. And like, you need to go to therapy. You need to go to fucking therapy and stop ruining shit like I'm gonna do when God sends me my motherfucking husband. Immediately back into therapy. Immediately, I'm emailing my therapist and being like, yeah, you know, God done sent me this, you know, gorgeous 6'5" king, and he's just amazing, and he cooks for me, and he takes me places, and he buys me things, and like I'm crashing out in my head because I think it's fake. So I need to come back to therapy and work on that so like we can like get married and have kids and grow old together and not have problems. And like you gotta know yourself. It doesn't mean that like you're not gonna crash out in your head. It just means that, oh, I know myself and I know I'm gonna crash out in my head because I'm not used to goodness. And so I'm gonna go back to therapy. I'm gonna go to therapy and work on it so I don't ruin shit. These niggas don't think like that. They put the blame on the woman and say that she's doing something wrong when all she's been doing is fucking showing up for him and loving on him and being patient with his bullshit for however long. And it's just exhausting. I don't feel like it. I don't, you know, my magical fantasy boyfriend, you know, it's fine. Would I like that to be in real life? Yes, but you know, it's okay. It's what I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I don't feel like it. You know, like if God sends me a miracle, great. But like until then, I'm not actively trying. I'm not. 70,000 strong, y'all. 70,000 strong. And barely nan nigga has been talking about it because they don't want to see a reflection of themselves in any way and work on themselves and shit. You ain't heard no 70,000 strong female chat room with women talking about raping the people. And there are women that do shit like that, but we're not the majority. We're not the majority of people doing shit like that. I'm tired. But anyways, let's get through to the end of the movie because I got stuck and went on a tangent. Anyway, so we had that magnificent scene, the color grading and the scenery and the, you know, I wish this had been the plot of the whole movie and shit, but you know, this is some man's play that he passed and you can't change people's stuff. It's wrong. So the next day, they're all in the house, and then Willie Boy Willie decides that he's gonna take the piano, and then here we go on this long ass manipulative word salad word vomit monologue about how he wants to be great in the world and he wants to have his own land and he won't leave this bitch alone. Even Samuel L. Jackson's tired of him raining on this bitch parade. Like, she over here doing her child's hair. You just no, because I'm not mad at a monologue. A good monologue is amazing. But I don't do manipulative monologues because it sounds like bullshit soliloquies that narcissists do when they're trying to abuse you. And so it's triggering. It's triggering. Like, I don't like it. Like, if I met this nigga in real life, there would be a slight veneer of disgust because of these two movies. The one he did was Zendaya and the one he did here. And, you know, he wouldn't know. Like, I would just have to get used to him being a regular human being before that slight veneer of disgust disappeared off my spirit. I wouldn't treat the nigga like that. I would just be like, time I look at you, I'm just reminded of these bullshit soliloquies you was doing in these movies, and I just keep my eye on you, nigga. I don't know if that was real or not, but I'm gonna wait for you to show me who you are and shit. I'm not gonna assume, because you may just be a very good actor, and just like how that nigga in Why Did I Get Married made that bitch drive up the mountain while he got to fly up the mountain, and now everybody hate this motherfucker in real life when he's probably a decent motherfucker in real life. Just like that. That's what it is. That's what it feels like. Made Jill Scott drive that car up the mountain while he flew in the fucking airplane and shit. Was a total dick the whole time. Ooh, yes, that's what it feels like, And so he doing off and on his, and then like, what's his name? Lyman comes and they try to move the piano, and she go to get the gun. Bernice ain't playing with this nigga, so she go to get her gun, and then here come the wannabe pastor, because she asked him to bless the house. At first he didn't want to do it because he was like, I don't know, you got to be a special kind of pastor, and I'm not that kind of pastor, and come on, bitch. So he comes and to bless the house, right? And then here come Whining Boy while they in the middle of her almost trying to shoot her brother, because I would have shot that nigga. I mean, like in the foot. Don't kill the nigga, but like, you ain't gonna be able to use a limb, bitch. Like, you gonna be disabled. Touch my motherfucking ancestral piece. Touch it. So Whining Boy comes in, he's drunk, right? He's just fucked up and shit, right? And so everybody's like tense, and he don't know that everybody's tense, and she got a gun in her pocket, right? And so he come in there wondering why people just telling him to sit down and calm down. He was like, I was just getting drunk with some strangers, and they treated me more like family than you do, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, nigga, sit down. So he says he wants to play a song that he wrote for their mother, and so he plays the song on the piano, and then the lights start flickering. He feels a cold chill, and everybody sees it. So now everybody know there's a ghost in the house, because this nigga Boy Willie just would not believe it. And as soon as the wannabe pastor comes in, this nigga's like, there's no ghost, da 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 da, talking, just I was like, shut the fuck up. You don't know how bad I wanted to hit this nigga. I just wanted to hit him in the face. Because I don't do them bullshit soliloquies. Like, oh yeah, and you just manipulative. You just being manipulative, and you going on and on about nothing. On and on about nothing, because you've been traumatized and you want everybody else to be punished for it instead of working on your fucking self. I have no sympathy for that bullshit. And so, like, everybody knows now. So the pastor starts, like, creating this holy water in this little bottle. He lights a candle and tells Bernice to hold it. And so he starts putting the holy water on the piano, and then the lights flickering more. And then Boy Willie, of course, he needs to be front and center. He needs to be the person to get the most attention. And I think he's kind of scared, too. Because now he knows the ghost is real and shit. Like, he goes in the kitchen and fills up a pot of water and starts yelling and sprinkling water around. And I'm just like, nigga. That's why I was just like, do you feel guilty? Did you kill this nigga? Like, what is it? Like, if you killed this nigga, it's just another evil ass white man dead. Like, at least own it and shit, nigga. Like, it is what it is. But like, he's sprinkling water around, and then he goes upstairs and the ghost throws his ass against the wall. It's just like, yes, I don't care. Somebody did it. Because he wouldn't shut the fuck up, and it was agitating the shit out of me. And it was funny because you could see the elbow pads underneath his shirt and shit. And I was just like, maybe it was just too hard to hide that. Like, he was being thrown up against them walls hella hard and shit. Like, I tried to just ignore it because he was being thrown up against them walls hella hard, and I just was like, oh, you needed the elbow pads, but like, we could see them and everything and shit though. And so the ghost throwing him up against the wall, they praying, and then the candle was supposed to stay lit. The candle goes out, and so she's standing there, and then the pastor starts crying. The wannabe pastor starts crying, right? Because he's like, I can't do it. Bernice, you have to do it. Because all this time he's been trying to get her to play the piano again. She ain't played the piano since her mom died, because she's like traumatized from all the shit. Her mom making her play the piano all the time because she was like in her grief and whatever. So she sits down and she starts playing these notes, and then she starts calling on the ancestors, because the piano is basically like an altar to the ancestors, and the ancestors is inside the piano. Like, they can come through the piano. I'll say that. They ain't, how I believe, like, the ancestors need to be resting and shit. So I hope they don't live inside the fucking piano and shit. You can call them through the piano and shit. There you go. And so, like, she calls them through the piano, and they all come and lay hands on her. And then they lay hands on Boy Willie, and then the evil white man ghost just combust. Either he's there because Boy Willie killed him, or he's been there because he wants his piano back or some shit, and or he wants the piano back that he thought was his but it wasn't. Or both. Maybe it was both, because he was there before Boy Willie even came. But the way he was attacking Boy Willie, I feel like, there was something more going on there that, they leave it up in the air, but maybe he did do something. I don't know. And so he externally combusts, and like Boy Willie comes down the stairs, and he tells Bernice, like, you and your child need to keep playing the piano, or me and Sutter are gonna return. And I'm just like, did we learn a lesson? Did the ghost scare the fucking narcissistic tendencies out of you? I want to believe it. I want to believe that since we ended on this, and like her laying in her ancestors' lap and her embracing the piano and shit, I just want to believe that this nigga learned his lesson, and like he's a quieter person now. He's a listener. He's not as manipulative and fucked up to people. I want to believe it, so I am. And I also want to believe that she married, Lyman, and they had beautiful, tall children, and along with their older sister that, she had already had, and he knocked the fucking Mario coins out of her, and it was magical for her, and it was beautiful. And no, it was beautiful and wonderful, and good for her. Good for her. Good for her in my imaginary world. Yes, good for her. Bitch, you deserve that. Cut that big ass nigga. Like, he was like, what I was saying in last holiday, when LL Cool J like heaved whole Queen Latifah over his shoulder and shit, and I was like, we about the same height. It's like a nigga gonna have to be like that big to pick me up, and I was just like, yo. Me and Queen Latifah about the same height, so a nigga gonna have to be pretty big. But I don't want to be heave ho over no nigga's shoulder. I want to be princess held. I'm a lady. Like, I hate when niggas be treating me like I'm a man. Like, niggas will come and be like patting me on the back and smacking me on the back of the weird ass shit like I'm a nigga or some shit. Like, I hate that shit, and I have added you to the list of niggas that I don't really like that, because you did that shit. You treated me like I was a fucking nigga. No, I want to be ladylike and carried like a princess doll, and just gently held onto and carried around, and he could probably do that. Too bad he's with a white woman in real life, but I probably would have never had a chance anyways. I'd never meet that nigga anyways, but everybody like that nigga from Mufasa. I was just like, he's 30. He looks like a 12-year-old to me with big lips. He's not unattractive. I'm not saying he's not attractive, but he's like attractive, like, oh, that's a cute young man. And there's a nice looking young man. He's a little hefty, nice looking young man. He is, but like, he just looks young to me, and I had to look this nigga's age up, because black people be looking young but like be older, and so I was like, oh, he's my age. We're the same age. Wow. Like, I'm a few months older than him, but like, it's fine. Like, he's with a white woman in real life, though. I have to keep reminding myself of that. Like, I'm not gonna say he doesn't like black women. I don't know this nigga, but like, he's with a white woman in real life, so we just gotta let that go and just add these situations to the fantasy in our head, and it's fine. But yeah, so Lyman was the plot of the movie. The ancestors and everything too. Like, this was the commentary on like black spirituality and shit like that, which is so amazing, because it's rare to see like black American spirituality like that. Usually, like, well, I mean, we do like show hoodoo and voodoo and stuff, so I won't say that, but like, this is like, more so just focus on the ancestors and on like a little sprinkle of Christianity and shit. So it was just like, and southernness and being in the South and how we navigate those type of spiritual things and how we believe in ghosts and we have superstitions. And they believed her all top when she said there was a ghost. Like they wasn't like, boy Willie was, but he got some shit going on, something wrong with him. But everybody else was just like, oh, it's a ghost. Yeah, I was just like, yes, girl, it's a ghost. Like, oh my gosh. So I was just like, that's amazing. That's amazing. So I like that. Like, it was just like in the Deliverance where I said I actually like the spirituality at the end of the Deliverance because you don't see supernatural Christian shit in like a non-Christian movie setting, because in a Christian movie setting it's kind of corny and shit and they be like doing weird shit and the production is off. But like you don't see like black Christian spirituality horror. And to be able to see it in like the Deliverance, like Deliverance isn't that great of a movie. I just like that part. But to be able to see it here too in this, and to know that this was written like a long ass time ago, so people was thinking about it and wanting to put it into the media and stuff like that, and show people our spirituality and how we navigate that and shit like that as Black Americans. I was just like, this is amazing. This is a magical commentary on ancestral work and God and Christianity and all this other stuff. And, Lyman. His arms were like huge, and like if you look up a picture of this nigga, he has this one picture where his arms are like spread out like a T. The wingspan on this motherfucker is just sick. It's just sick. And it's a white woman though. It's fine. It's fine. It is amazing. I think he was like with this white woman that was in the DC movie, the Batman movie he was in. He was like one of the Teen Titans in the Batman movie, like Cyborg or some shit. And I guess he got with one of the white women in the team and some shit from the Batman movie, the superhero, the not Avengers. What's the other one? The DC one with Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman, all them other niggas getting together. He was in that one. And he was Cyborg, and so he's with the white woman that was in there, one of them. And good for them. God bless them and their unions and things. I'm trying, y'all. I am trying to be, because I don't know people in real life, and I don't want to be like, oh my gosh, he's colorist because he's with a white. They could actually be in love and really care about each other and love each other and love each other for themselves, and it's magical and wonderful and whatever and shit, like magic. Magical. It's gone. had to take that to the head just to get them words out. You see, Jesus, I am doing better. I am evolving and becoming less mean, and I just hope you clocking that so that you can help see my future husband. That I'm a nicer person. So I'm ready for that nigga. Oh God, that man was so pretty. That was a pretty. You know how I get with pretty niggas, like. And I hate it too. Like, something in me cannot not look at a pretty nigga, even if they're like taken or in a relationship. I at least glance a couple times, like, oh my gosh. I had this event like on New Year's Eve, and we were making like vision boards, and this girl walked in with her nigga, and her nigga was beautiful. He was just and I just looked a couple times. I was like, oh my gosh, she's so lucky. Like. I didn't stare the nigga down. Like, I'm not a homewrecker, but like, I can't help it. Like, he was so pretty. Like, I love a pretty nigga. I love a pretty nigga, and that's a pretty nigga. He's a pretty nigga. Lord, send me a pretty nigga in the name of Jesus. One of my own. One one just for me. Yeah, we got away from the movie. Like, yep, it should have been a romance movie. Cause Lyman was the plot. The rest of it was interesting. Like, that should have been they shouldn't even had him on this bitch like this if they wasn't gonna get together. Cause now I'm distracted. Now for the rest of the movie, like, even through the whole like seance and exorcism situation and calling the ancestors. I was just kind of like, oh, this is cool, Let me rewind it back to "You Smell Good for Lyman," and did. Got to the end of the movie and then rewound it right back to that part. It was just like, this is such an amazing scene. The scenery and the color grading and the angles and the soft focus and them filming it from the mirror so they can look like a painting because their skin is so pretty, especially hers. You smell good for Lyman. Let me get off of here. Let me. Obviously, I have a problem. So I'm just going to let this go. And, let me know what you thought of the movie and both of the plots. I refuse to not say Lyman's not the plot. I don't care what you're talking about. And I hope you enjoyed this review. Abbott, like I said, Abbott Elementary's back next week, so I'm going to do Abbott Elementary next week, and we're going to finish that out. Might occasionally throw in a couple, movies. I know they take another break, probably around, spring break and shit like that for schools and stuff. And I know they're taking a break in the summertime. I think, P-Valley is supposed to be back in the summertime. I'm hoping. They haven't released a date, but they finished filming. So, because I follow them on Instagram and they finished filming, and so I'm hoping that they're back by the summertime so we can get back to, P-Valley and shit, because I need to know what happens next, right? I know it's been a while, just like Euphoria. I don't even know that, what's happened on that show. One nigga is passed away, God bless him. The little sister ain't trying to come back, so we just gonna have a season with no little sister. Maybe they're gonna send her to boarding school. She going to live with her daddy. Oh wait, their dad died. Oh God. Okay. She went to live with her auntie because she just couldn't handle her sister. It was just too much, and so she's not. They can make up some shit, but it would have been nice to have her there because she was crashing out too and shit. She couldn't handle it, and so the more crash outs, the more entertainment value. It's fine. It's fine. But yeah, so Abbott Elementary comes back next week, and so I'm gonna do that episode with It's Always Sunny. Like I said, they did blackface a few times. Their commentary on narcissistic white male culture, where they just get away with these evil ass things, and then act obtuse when they get called like they are entitled to behaving this way. I feel like it's on purpose. They're trying to illustrate what white male culture looks like, but at the same time, it's just kind of like, how does that gonna mix with Abbott Elementary, which is totally black, and these people have displayed being racist on their show? So we'll see. We will see how they do that, how they combine that together, how they make that make sense. I watch Always Sunny, okay, and I watch it as a cultural commentary. It's just that I'll be taking notes in my mind. I'll be like, okay, so white men are like this, like they just think they can do whatever the fuck they want, and they're entitled to shit, and they'll cause random ass chaos if they aren't mentally stable, and they'll probably get away with it as they've gotten away with it in every episode of that show for 20 fucking years and shit, or whatever, however long. And it's not funny, it's just a cultural commentary, and so that's how I watch it as. And I know some black people don't even watch it at all because they're just like, this is racist. A lot of this shit is racist and stupid. But I literally watch it as a cultural commentary, just like I watch American Psycho. Like I told you, it's just like American Psycho, only without killing people. I mean, they've come close to killing people, or maybe I haven't watched all of it. I've watched a good portion of it. Sometimes I just leave it on and go to sleep to it, like it's background noise and shit. So without actually killing people, I'll say, without having watched all of it. It's like watching the Righteous Gemstones and shit. That shit's funny because it's white people literally narcissism and shit. But the thing is, they figured it out at the last season. So I'm just kind of like, they're coming back for another season, but you figured it out at the last season. So are they going to reverse back to being a piece of shit, or is it going to be more like a Modern Family-esque type show with cozy, cute things going on or whatever? I don't know with that show either. So I just like to observe white folks. If you observe them and you get to know their ins and outs, you are prepared for anything. You are prepared for anything that they do, and you're never surprised. Like, you got people out here surprised at like the fact that Trump is actually going to like try to deport natural born, Latin citizens. Like, but you voted for him. Like, you got people out here in millions like asking if they can change their vote because they didn't know that what tariffs meant. You didn't get your Christmas bonus, did you? You didn't, huh? No, no. Like, we're surprised, like, at Ted Bundy being the serial killer that he was, to the point where we just let him sit in the law library and escape because he wanted to research his case, because he wanted to be his own lawyer. So they just let him sit in the law library in the courthouse with the window open, and he jumped out the window and ran off. That was the first time he escaped. You got, so like, if I make myself aware of these things, then I'm never going to be surprised by what white people do, or just what toxic people do in general. I'm never surprised. I'm never even really surprised when a good person switches up, because I kind of low key expected it. I always have a mental to go bag in the back of my mind where I'm okay with losing you. I'm okay with grieving because I put myself first. I'm not about to be sitting up here being emotionally abused, physically abused, sexually abused, talked down to, disrespected, and these are simple things that decent people just don't do. So the fact that niggas be crashing out and then doing these things because they expect the woman they're with to leave them anyways, or just to like, accept their assholeness because they're comfortable now, is some bullshit. And I don't feel like no, I respect myself too much. I had to learn how to, because it hurt too much to deal with niggas like that or people like that. Like, I don't care. So yeah, you gotta know these things. And so when you watch shit like that, you learn and you catalog, and there is truth to art. And so there is some truth to art, just like there's some truth to stereotypes. And so you got to catalog that and just be like, oh yeah, okay, that's what they can do. Oh, that's what they can do too. Oh, that's interesting. But I still don't understand how that's going to mix with the black culture of Abbott Elementary. So we'll see. We will see what they do and go from there. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this review, and later days.